All right, all right. Welcome. And I am so excited to have you guys here today. Really excited for today's session. We're going to be talking about the new SEO formula. And, there's one thing that I can tell you for sure. It's that search engine optimization and the Google algorithm and how these things work is constantly shifting. And so kudos to you for finding the time, to invest the time to watch this video, to attend this webinar where really I'm going to unpack some of the latest insights and strategies on what's working with SEO to move your funeral home or crematory up in the organic listings. Now, move over to the next slide. Here we go. So when I think about this, I really think that SEO is part of the bigger picture of your digital marketing strategy. Everything comes back to this accelerated growth model. In order to have your funeral home or crematory business in a constant state of growth, there are three things that we have to solve for. And number one, we have to drive leads, right? Number two, we have to maximize the conversion of those leads into services and cremations. And number three, we have to optimize the results. So we need to figure out what's working and double down on the areas that are generating the best results. When it comes to driving leads, there are three strategies: organic, paid, and database, or database remarketing, right? And what we do is we remarket to that existing customer base. Now, today, we're going to be focused on the organic side of the equation. How do we get the free clicks, right? How do we get organic traffic? How do we make sure that we're coming in the non-paid listings where our customers are looking? And as it relates to conversion, we want to make sure our website converts, right? We've got a great reputation with reviews that people can validate, showing that this is a solid funeral home and they know what they're doing, right? We need to leverage automations so that we can follow up with our leads quicker and communicate with them via text, not just phone and email. And then finally, we've got to know how much we're spending, right? We need to spend enough in marketing to hit the growth targets that we set. We have to understand what our average cost per acquisition is across the different services that we provide and make sure that this makes sense. So more importantly, we want to dial in our reporting so that we can see how much we spend, how many leads we get, and what's our actual return on investment. Now, when you get this formula dialed in, you can grow your business on demand. And so that's the big picture, right? I just wanted to zoom out for a second before we get into the specifics on SEO. We want to be driving leads, maximizing conversions, optimizing results. And again, my favorite play in our company is funeral home and crematory SEO search, search engine optimization. One of my favorite places to make sure that we have an organic footprint, that we're showing up in the non-paid listings, because ultimately that's usually going to be your lowest cost per lead. And in most cases, your highest quality lead that you can tap into. And this is part of the eternal marketing method, which looks at all of the different things that we can and should be doing to really dominate our local marketplace, and get you as many of the opportunities as we possibly can. So a couple of things before we jump into this today. I'm just going to ask you if you can just close out the other tabs. I know in today's world on these Zoom sessions, we get another tab open with email and Facebook and probably Slack with people messaging us. Close those out. Let's give our undivided attention, our undivided focus. And if you're serious about generating better results with your SEO, getting ranked better, getting more clicks and getting more leads, and ultimately taking care of more families, this is going to be a really valuable spend of your next 45 minutes or so. So today, we're going to be talking about the latest changes in the Google algorithm, the things that you want to have, that you might have put in place with your SEO strategy that could actually be hurting you today. And we're going to really spend most of the time talking about how to optimize your website and your online presence, leveraging this new SEO formula. And who am I? A little bit about me. If you don't know, my name's Oscar Guerrero. I am the founder of Funeral Marketing Pros. I have over 10 years hands-on experience in different aspects of digital marketing, from website building, technical SEO, to meta ads and email marketing. I have a track record of success. I've helped hundreds of small to medium-sized businesses generate over $100 million. I'm also a seven-figure agency mentor that helps smaller marketing agencies become million-dollar businesses. And a little bit about our company, Funeral Marketing Pros. We're on a mission to triple the calls of 1,000 funeral homes. And doing this type of educational work is just a big part of accomplishing that mission. So for some of you, it's the insights and the information that you need that you're going to take. You're going to take them, you're going to implement them, and we feel great about that. And then there are others of you that might be looking more to align with us and have us implement these strategies for you. And so if that's what you're looking for, we'd love the opportunity to meet with you, review your current website and SEO strategy, and show you where there might be some room for improvement. If you'd like to schedule a complimentary evaluation of your current online marketing strategy, please just head on over to funeralmarketingpros.com/strategy. So let's begin. Let's get into it. Does SEO really even matter, right? We think about the way the algorithm has shifted and the way Google search results have changed. We've got local service ads, we've got more paid ads, and then we have the map listings. These listings now have become smaller. So does it even matter? Like, do we even need to focus on this? And, I guess what I would say is, when we run a search right now for a funeral home, in this example in San Antonio, just as an example, we've got the local service ads at the top, then we've got the maps, then we have the organic listings. And statistics are still telling us, as we look at the search pattern of your customer's funeral home related services, 71% of the clicks go to the map, right? And organic listings are included there. And then 67% of the clicks go to the top 5 results. This was a study by Moz. That's where I got that stat, and that's where this information comes from. They're looking at a lot of, Moz is looking at a lot of data to say, hey, it's pretty important that we're coming up in the organic listings despite all the changes within paid search. So the answer here is yes, SEO absolutely still matters. And I'll just show you a quick example. This is a company that's ranked well on the map. It's ranked in the organic listings. If you run a couple of searches for crematory, funeral home, cremations in their area, you'll see that they come up very, very well for those particular terms. But what I want to show you is the data, because we're really about we're looking at how much are we spending, how many leads are we getting, is there a return on investment there? And so if you look close, you can see they spend about $8,000 a month in online marketing. So that's their management fee with us. Then that's their Google ad spend. We track how many leads that actually generate. So from what we've got, 417 leads, if we divide that, it's about $19.32 average cost per lead, really. So what I want to show you is the diversification of where those leads are coming from. So 127 from pay-per-click, but 95 from organic, 173 from Google Maps, 22 from web forms. So as you can see, the organic and the Google Maps, that's specifically the SEO strategy. That's the local map optimization strategy. 65 of their lead flow coming from organic. And so I say that because I want to make the point that yes, paid search is important. Yes, we want to be playing with social. Yes, we want to, have paid ads and tap into local service ads. But if you're sleeping on SEO, you're not coming up organically, and you could be missing out on some of the highest quality, lower cost leads that there are out there. So yes, SEO still matters, and you can't rely on pay-per-click alone. So a little bit about why SEO is important without getting super into the weeds, right? Today, 68% of all experiences start with a search engine. 53% of all website traffic comes from organic search, and SEO drives, the more traffic than organic social media. And 69% of social queries contain 4 words or more. So there's a long tail aspect to this, right? That you wouldn't necessarily be targeting those particular terms. And what we found, kind of looking at spend traffic versus paid traffic, for whatever reason, SEO leads convert at higher level, and the person that's going through that half tends to, be less of a price shopper and more selected your funeral home, based on who you are as an organization. And so the algorithm, as I said, is constantly changing. And in recent news, Google laid off a ton of employees because they're moving more toward programmatic SEO, and they're tapping more into AI. But there's a lot of formulas that go into ranking, and I'm not going to bore you with all the nuances and all of the details, but just in recent days, the core algorithm update that featured snippet duplicates, you know, they updated site speed, updated thin content, spammy links. So really, as proprietors of SEO, we study this stuff, right? Like, we're day in, day out, kind of, trying to stay in the cutting edge of what's happening, what's changing, and what do we want to do for you today to take the 80/20. So what we want to do for you today is take the 80/20 of this and figure out, what's the 20% of the things that you can do on and off of your website that will have the 80% impact, so that, the things that really matter, that are going to move the needle and be able to kind of, be on the cutting edge of what's working. So the ranking factors, there's tons of them. There's technical, which is the things that we do, the foundation, index crawling, 301 redirects, structuring the data. Then there's on page, which is what we actually do with the website, the pages. We create topical relevance, internal linking, image optimization. That's what we usually think of when we think about SEO. And, I'm, going to try to get specific with some things that are important to you, but really what I want to show you is the big picture. So there's also the off page, right? So off page is really, the fact you don't necessarily think about on your website, but that will actually move the needle in terms of how you come up with whether you're in the 5th spot or the 100th spot. And that's, backlinks, mentions, social medias, likes, follows, reviews, citations, PR syndication, things like that. And then kind of the new factor that's been brand new over the last year or so is the experience. So Google's looking at not just your website, having the keywords in it, but does it have links and relevancy? And what's happening when somebody gets to your website? What's happening when someone gets to that cremation page on your website? What's the experience like? Are they scrolling, and are they staying? Are they clicking, or are they just exiting? And the tiebreaker goes to the best experience, which is like your load speed, right? Mobile responsiveness. Is it safe and secure? Is it, does it have security components all dialed in? And if I could summarize these changes, really, it comes down to EAT, which is expertise, authority, and trust. So we don't want to just build our website and create our content and our off-page stuff for the sake of stacking links and citations and content and keywords. We want to make sure that we're positioning ourselves as the expert in our industry, as the authority for what we do, and as being a trusted provider. All of these things being equal, if we can do that, we will rank for the most important keywords. We will retain those rankings, and we will be in Google's good graces. So that's how that. So again, I want to try and simplify this as much as possible. I want to try and simplify this as much as possible. When it comes to local, specifically, when it comes to the Google map listings, there's a couple of big organizations that produce the local ranking factors reports. And the latest information that we're looking at we really believe to be the truth is your Google business profile listing specifically, what matters, how it's claimed, how it's optimized, how you add images, how you're posting the Q&A type stuff. Next month, I'm going to be going in deeper on just on your Google business profile and how to optimize it. But that's 30% of your local ranking, right? How well optimized that listing is. Now, 26% would be your actual on-page website. Do you have the right pages? And are they, titled correctly? Do you have your H1 and content specifically set up correctly? Do you have that EAT, the expertise, authority, and trust? Then we've got reviews, right? This is a big ranking factor, but not only a ranking factor on how many reviews do we have across the web and on Google, but then on all the other profile sites, as well as, those reviews on the other profile sites will play a big role in how we rank, and then there's links, right? Links are still a big play, right? I know a lot of changes have happened. It used to be back in the day, we could build a website, put our keywords in the title, drive a bunch of links, whether they were relevant or not, and we could win. But in today's environment, it's really more about the quality and relevancy of the links that we have, behavioral, like what they're doing on the website, how fast the website loads, citations, which is a web reference of your company's name, address, and phone numbers that are listed on directory sites like the Yellow Pages and Yelp and all these different sites. We want your name, address, and phone number consistent, all across the web. So thinking about the new SEO formula, this has moved down in importance. This used to be like one of the top 5 factors, right? But you still have to get the name, address, and phone number consistent, but doing that alone isn't enough, right? That's how you see that things have really changed. So just kind of walking you through here, the ranking factors and what we're seeing, we can now pivot to the new SEO formula. And for those of you that are, deep into SEO, this is where you're going to want to pay close attention, because I'm going to make this super simple. We're going to put this into very basic terms that we can all wrap our minds around, and we'll look at some live examples of how this works. So the first step with the new SEO formula is we have to figure out what's the most important keywords based on your services and based on search volume. So what are customers actually typing into the search engine when they need your services? Are they looking at funeral home, crematory, cremation, burial, mortuary, life celebration, memorial near me, right? We want to look at what those keywords are. And what's great is now there are tools that can show us how many people are actually searching for that in your local market. Right? What's the commercial intent behind the particular term? And can we be strategic with what pages we create, right? So how can we be strategic with the pages that we create, and how do we structure our content? So the first thing we need to do is figure out what those keywords are. And there are a lot of great tools. There's Google Keyword, there's a Google Keyword Planner tool, right? There's WordStream, there's Baifu, there's Google Ads, where you can type in the keywords and you can get that information. So I'd be happy to walk through those tools with you and point you in the right direction if you need those. Also, we'd be happy to run a report for you if you're interested and you're saying to yourself, you know what, I don't want to invest in these tools, and I'd like to know, I'd like to have you kind of just spit out a report for me and help me figure that out, right? I would like to know, like, direct cremation service in my area, right? So let me know. And, if you need that, we'd be happy to put that together for you. We can figure out what the keywords are. And the next thing is we want to make sure that we've set up our website with unique pages to make sure we're targeting the right keywords. And I would say for most of us today, we already have a website, or a pretty good website. So if you have a good website, it may not necessarily mean that you have to build a new site on a new domain, the best thing that we can do is just look at the domain and then see, do we have all the pages that we need and have they been properly created? Okay. So I'm going to gear this towards the more advanced side of the equation where we have the website. We just want to make sure that we've got pages for our main services and then pages for the main cities that we operate in, right? And I'm going to show you examples of this. But when I talk about cities, and I'll mention this a few times throughout this presentation, we have cities, but then within cities, we have sub-cities or small towns that we service as well. We need to make sure that we have pages that have been relevant, that are relevant, and they've been set up with the right keyword. Now, number 3 is we have to make sure that we've optimized for the user experience. So this is really important. We're not just writing a cremation page and filling it, with the word cremation services 90 different ways. We want to think about that customer that gets to the cremation services page on your website. Are they having a good experience? Is it connecting with the problems and the questions that they have, right? Does it have multimedia like video and imagery in addition to the text? And does it load quick enough that it creates a good experience? So lots of things that we can do to not just think about this from an SEO perspective, from a user experience perspective as well. Obviously, this is going to impact conversion, from visitor to someone who calls to someone who eventually will select your funeral home to do business with. But now it's also impacting how well you're going to rank for those keywords. So just think about that user experience. Next is we want to optimize the page, and we want to look at things like the title tags, H1 tag, meta description, getting our keywords and metadata into the images and things like that, right? Then we need to build authority, which is building our links, right? Building our citation, our relevancy, so that we can be part of that, show Google that we are part of that EAT, right? The expert with the trusted website for those particular terms. And then finally, we need to track the results. Let's put a mechanism in place, so that, we can see the keywords that we're going for. What are the activities that we're doing with the links and the citations and the authority to try and move our results for those keywords. And then let's track how are we actually ranking in Google. Okay. So that's a big picture. And, I've got a great checklist for you. If you guys want to get into this, it's at go.com/SEO. And this is just, a checklist that's going to help you look at the big things. So whether you work with us or you decide to go back to your provider or your internal team, you have a checklist here that's going to kind of prompt your memory in terms of what we're talking about today and what needs to get accomplished in order to start ranking in the communities that your funeral homes serve. Okay. So I want to give you guys the shortcut on some of these keywords because, again, we're an agency that's dedicated to working with funeral homes and crematories, and we've done a lot of research trying to figure out what are the actual keywords somebody types in when they need your services. So within funeral homes, kind of by priority, we've got funeral home near me, funeral parlors near me, cremation services, cremation near me, funeral. I'm not going to read you the entire list, but you can grab that by going over to funeralmarketingpros.com/keyword list. But what I want you to see is I'm pulling up these keyword lists. It's not just funeral home near me. Yes, that's probably where the lion's share of the search happens, but there are very specifically searching for other things you might do or can do, right? And a great example of this is pet cremation. Okay. Now, I know that the ability to offer pet cremation or actually perform the service is going to vary state to state. But even if you can't offer pet cremation, you can rank for it. And then when you have an inquiry, I'm sure that you can source that out. So we want to make sure that we thought about all those keywords, the combinations, as well as we want to make sure we've created the pages and the content for that. And then remember, there's a lot of different keywords and variations like funeral parlor or affordable, cheap, or low cost. So we'll want to see how we'll integrate that into our content strategy. And so there's a keyword list for you. I'm going to give it to you in a PDF that you can download and access. What I find in a lot of cases, though, it's great to have that list, but the next thing that you need to do is figure out, well, those keywords combined with my service area. So I'm in Miami, for example. Yeah. So I'm going to look at Miami funeral home near me, Miami cremation, Miami direct cremation. And then beyond that, in Miami, there are a ton of sub-cities or towns. So let's say in a 25-mile radius, we've got like Kendall, Palmetto Bay, Doral, Coral Gables, and Pinecrest. We want all of those main services with the main city and the surrounding cities and towns. And it gets a little bit cumbersome to combine that if you don't do this every day. And so I want to offer you guys a complete keyword research report for you. We do this every day, so it's pretty quick for us. We've already got the tools like things like merge words, and that helps us quickly combine the keywords. And then we've got pay tools where we can just drop that in and see where the search volume is. And so this is complimentary because you're watching this video. We will run that report for you, send it off and say, hey, here's the keywords, here's the search volume. And then we can even run a report that shows you where you're currently coming up on Google Maps and Bing, and then see how, what I'm dominant for all this stuff, or, hey, I'm ranking really well for these 5 keyword terms, but there's these other 72 that are high search volume in my area, and I'm not ranking for that today. So if that sounds cool, head on over to funeralmarketingpros.com/strategy, enter your details there. It's set up with, you can choose a time that's convenient for you. And then it'll ask you a few questions. And this is basically allows us to do our due diligence and get the keyword report and present it to you. This is really a low pressure opportunity. If you straight up do not want to do business with us, but you want the keyword report, no worries. Just let us know and we'll shoot that over to you free of charge. So that's the thing, right? Step 1 was to figure out what are people typing in and, when they need our services. The second thing is we want to set up the website so that we can rank for those keywords, right? We said on page, off page, and technical, there's a lot of different things, but the easy thing to wrap our head around is like, what do we do with the website itself? And so we want a great website with a great user experience. Gone are the days of just writing for Google or writing for search engines, right? It needs to be written for the human being. We want to leverage multimedia text, remember text is one thing and it's good for search engines, but having images and metadata behind it that also connects with what you're typing is another way to help your SEO, right? And then, you've got it. You could have YouTube videos and have them embedded on the page, and that can create a more rich user experience. It's also going to work in your favor in terms of how you rank for the most important keywords in your market. Now, the next thing I think most of us have done this in today's market, but we want to make sure that we've figured out all the services we provide and we have a page for that. So we're not just saying, we're a funeral home and there's a page that lists all of our services. We want separate pages for each of those services that we provide so that, at need pages could be specific, and then we have pre-need that could be specific as well. You want to make sure that you have pictures of your staff on those pages, along with the list of services, a guide with instructions of what to do when someone passes away, and obviously always provide a way for them to reach out to you. Additionally, we want to create city pages for each of the cities or sub-cities or towns that we serve. So again, just as an example, if you're in Miami, we want to anchor the main site around Miami, but we also want to figure out what are the top, so let's say 10 surrounding cities or towns in our main market that we serve, and have pages for each of those. That's an important piece. you know Another important piece is the content. The content needs to be unique on each one of the city pages, in each one of those service pages. So you don't want to just copy and paste something and change the city, like funeral home in Doral, funeral home in Miami, and have the same stuff. Really what you're looking for is you're looking for unique content. I would also caution, be careful with AI. This is really growing these days, and I personally, I love the new AI content generation opportunities that are out there, but there's a lot of ways to be creative with it. I think that AI is great for ideation, but don't lean on, in a way where you're saying like, hey, GPT, write me a cremation page, and then have it spit out 500 words and copy and paste that right onto your site. You want to be careful and you also want to make sure that your provider is being careful with this, because if you're exclusively leaning on AI to create content, it's just too early to tell. Is it really going to hurt your rankings or help you, right? And we won't know that for another, I don't know, 6 to 12 months about. So I think be cautious right now, create great, unique content using your own personal experience and expertise, and be super relevant with what you write. Now, we've got the basics, right? I'm going to show you guys examples of this, but I just want you to understand where I'm going. So if you have a page for each service and a page for each city, then we want the keywords in the right place, right? The keywords in the title tag, okay? The H1 tag written in the content throughout the site, right? That has to have those keywords. Our meta description that we're writing, should be correct. Don't think that, don't write this just for Google. Think about the meta description as a way to sell the click, because when someone's searching for your funeral home, say I search for Miami funeral home and see what comes up, the title tag typically comes up and the snippet, and we want our keywords there, obviously, right? But the meta description that comes up with the little text underneath it, yeah, you can put keywords in it, but you really want to, well, what you really want to do is almost like write a text out there, right? Because you want someone to click through, and that'll increase your click-through rate. And obviously, if you're increasing the click-through rate through various keywords, that's also gonna, help your rankings, your organic results. That's basically going to help you come up, as well as now what you're putting on inside the pages, right? So, do you have your name, address, and phone number at the footer of your website? If you do, that's great. I'm also going to suggest blogging. I noticed on most funeral home websites do not have a blog. And if you leverage blogging, but not just blogging, the new way of doing this is blogging and leveraging some type of syndication so that all those blogs get picked up and start to pull links back for your website. A lot of times we're blogging in a vacuum. So we have a website and we've got this blog section, and we're updating the blog once a week or once a month or whatever frequency it is, but it just sits on the site and it doesn't get any exposure outside of your particular domain. So I'll talk about some strategies that you can turn those blogs into syndicated posts that pick up links and citations to the keywords that we're trying to pick up authority for. And then finally, we want to optimize on-page speed, both desktop and mobile. This is a critical user experience factor. It's a critical ranking factor. And so sometimes we get so focused on how the website looks, we get so focused on the content on the site and all the multimedia that we want to infuse into it. We forget that it takes a while to load, and it's going to have low ratings on GT metrics. It's going to have low ratings on Google PageSpeed Insights, and that's really going to harm your ability to rank. So excellent. So I just wanted to give an example of GT metrics. For those of you who don't know what this is, GT metrics is a great source. You can just go to gtmetrics.com, put your domain in, it spits out a report and it shows you performance wise, like how are you doing? Are you an A, a B, a C, or a D? And I would say you're anything less than a B on GT metrics. There's an issue that you have to look at because your site is taking too long to load, whether that issue be image compression or something with the coding on the website. Now, the main thing I want you to take away is that the key things that you want to do on your website is get your keyword, whatever the city is, plus the main thing, whether it be funeral home, cremation, whatever it is, and the title in your H1, right? And then have great content to kind of fill in the gaps written for a human, not just for the search engines. Now, if you want to see how this is done for your funeral home, I'll show you real quickly. Here we go. We want to make sure that, our pages for each of the services that you offer are there because, people are typing in burial, cremation, ship out, ship in, disinterment, all of this in your city and in your town, and then pages for those surrounding cities so that you can see, right? You not only rank in Miami, but more specifically within the surrounding or within the cities and towns that you provide services to, and remember, as you set up each one of these pages, make sure that you're setting up unique content. Okay. And that'll come up organically. And let's take a look here. All right. So as it relates to what to do on the website, getting ranked on the map specifically is a little different, right? Your website plays a role in it, but it really comes down to three key things for ranking on the map. And number one is claiming your Google business profile. That's kind of like step one. Number two is we do want to have consistency of your name, address, phone number, so that whatever address we put in on Google business profile, that's what we've got in all of those different citations with consistency. So Google's seeing a match to that name, address, and phone number. And then, we need reviews, right? And one of the key ranking factors for getting ranked is having real reviews from your real customers, right? Families that you've served and in your service area. And then, of course, we need that on-page stuff like I showed you, having the name, address, phone number in the footer of the pages and having the site pages is for each of the cities that you serve and the surrounding towns, having a great user experience. All of that plays into ranking well on the map. But I would I would say, like, all things being equal, it comes down to the number of reviews that you have. And so one thing that we found that just has had a quantum leap in terms of effectiveness for the funeral homes that we work with is leveraging automation. So, there's lots of ways to get reviews. One way is just to do good work and hope that people write reviews. And I would say like 1 in 1,000 customers will do that, even if you provide a great experience. Another way would be to send an email afterward and say, hey, thanks for your business. Please take a minute to write us a review. The problem there is that you have to remember to send that email, and it's a very manual process. And so eventually things will slip through the cracks. And the best way to handle this is automation. And the best way to automate, after is to use some form of technology. There's technology now exists where once the service is over, that will put, a review request system, or it will, flag it. And the key is you want to send a review request after every service that goes out, both via email and SMS. Now, we do find that most of the action comes on SMS because I think what happens is that we just get so many emails that most people just don't click through them unless they're really expecting them. And, but if you want to get a quick email that says, hey, Bob, we really want to thank you for choosing our funeral home to care for your loved one. We would really appreciate it if you could take a quick second to post a review for us so that other families can find us and then give them that link, that's fine. But if you send that via SMS, we see a very high uptick. And then when it happens automatically after every service, you can only imagine, the number of reviews that you will be able to get. Now, if we get asked this too, like what happens if we send this out and then they don't reply? Well, there's nothing wrong. Now, don't go wild on this, but there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, we can actually set up a trigger where it says, hey, I just wanted to follow up on this, if they didn't actually click on the link. And, what happens in today's day and age, it happens to me. Sometimes we just get busy. We want to do it. Sometimes we forget. So like I said, don't go crazy with it, but there's nothing wrong with sending a reminder. I think so long as you're thanking them for their business and you're asking them if everything was good, and then you can go ahead and ask them for the review. There's many different systems that will do this. I have a few of them on the screen right here. There's Parting Pro, there's Bird Eye, Review Grower. There's all of these, but we have our own proprietary system at Funeral Marketing Pros that we've built out. This is a service that that you're interested in. Just this service, we could provide it for you very inexpensively. But really, it's those 1% improvements and how you follow up that make a big difference on the number of reviews that you get, which is going to drive your Google Maps listings. So sorry about that. So far, we've talked about, what we can do with the website itself. We've talked about, the Google Maps optimization and kind of some of the basic technical aspects that we want to focus on the website, and I really hope that this has been helpful so far. Good. All right. So we talked about what we do with the website, and it's important, right? Because what you do with the website is what gives you the opportunity to come up for the keywords people are typing in. But really, what's going to make the difference on how you rank is what's happening off of the site. It's about the authority that you develop and that Google perceives your website or that particular page, say that cremation page or that disinterment page on your website. So how do we build off-page factors? Well, the number one, we want to claim and optimize your Google business profile. Number two, we've got to get lots of citations, right? You have to list your website on hundreds of directory websites. We, as an agency, we do this for all of the websites that we build. Number three, we've got to build up reviews. Number four is we have to build up authoritative links, which are other websites on the internet that link back to your website. And either that's our homepage or our services, or pages that of the different services we offer, or our city pages. Because if you just have, those pages on your website and they aren't pointing to then anywhere else, Google doesn't perceive them as relevant. And if you're not relevant, then you're not going to come up in the rankings, for the most important keywords. And so number four, I want to suggest is syndicate the content, which means don't just blog on the website in a vacuum, but actually create the blogs and then point link citations and relevance back to your website. And I'll kind of show you how that works, right? And so again, there's a lot of factors that go into this, but at the end of the day, it comes down to expertise, authority, and trust. And so from a blog, we should have a news and media section on the site. And you can use the same technology that you use to post to the blog, but instead of just blogging onto the site, we push it out through a syndication process. Basically, it's an article that is sent out to news outlets and linked back to the website. Now, the article should also embed a map with your name, address, and phone number to pass that name, address, and phone number consistency to Google. So when you think about it, now you have an authoritative website linking back to you, and you're showing Google consistency in your business information, which is then reflected back into Google Maps. This is going to be helpful in getting you ranked at the top of the map. And when it comes to the map, you need to have a consistent name, address, and phone number and plenty of citations. So citations just means that your website is listed like on the directories, like yellow pages. So don't worry too much right now. I would say don't worry too much about the map listings and rankings just yet, because this is a topic that deserves much more attention. And I will do a full deep dive into this in the near future. So yeah, we have a good website. We've got good pages. We've got cities. We've got all the services. You have 1,000+ reviews, you've got that link velocity going and authority that's coming from all of these news sites and sources on a consistent basis. And hopefully that visual paints the picture of, this is how I'm going to rank, right? So the SEO checklist that I provided to you guys, sorry, we want pages for each of the services that we offer to be on our website, and we want them to be properly optimized with the title tags, the H1 tag, the URL. Did we think about, this is why you should reference back to the keyword list and try to match that up for your website. Make sure that you've got the alt text inside of the images. The websites give you an option to enter in alt text for your images. Try to place your keywords in there as well, and make sure that you have unique content throughout your site as well. And what we're really talking about on page, when we're really talking about on page itself for funeral homes, there can be somewhere between 50 and 100 pages. This obviously doesn't even touch on obituaries, right? And it depends upon how many surrounding cities and towns that we're targeting. And then after that, we want to claim and optimize the listing, the Google business profile, and we want to get all the main citation sources and data aggregators. And as I mentioned earlier, I'll be doing another session, on the Google Maps, and I'll talk more about, what these data aggregators are, how they work. We want to put the automations in place to drive online reviews on a consistent basis. And then we want to be adding new citations through syndication and manual processes on an ongoing basis, and so that means that we need to be putting out content. So we have a 75-page website. We want to be putting out new blog content that's going to build more authority, more relevancy over time. And then we want to really use signals to push out our authority, expertise, and trust, and get the do follow links, get more citations, work the Google business profile listing. We can see Q&As, we can respond to reviews, we can post images. So we want to leverage all of those opportunities from the map perspective directly. And so again, there's a million things that we can do for SEO, and I could do a whole day workshop on this. But again, we want to cover the 80-20 here. The 20% of things that you can wrap your head around, and it's like, okay, these are very specific. We could do them on our website. We could do the off-page stuff. We understand. Just go in, do what we need to do in our Google Maps. And ultimately, this should drive more leads and more sales and more services to your funeral home and more revenue growth. So ideally now, I've given you guys enough context that you'll understand this checklist. It'll give you all the details that you need, just one by one, what you need to go through. If you need it again, just go over to go.funeralmarketingpros.com/SEO and feel free to download that. And then if you'd like some help with this is what we do, right? We are passionate about working with funeral homes and getting your on page and off page and all the other factors dialed in so that you rank better. And again, this is only part of your overall marketing strategy, right? Our goal is to help you triple the amount of services that you do currently, and doing this through the accelerated growth model. So that's, pardon me. So that's, or your organic paid database marketing, and then helping to make sure that you've got all the factors in place to convert your leads at the highest level and follow up with them, leveraging automation, and then have all the tracking so that you can know how much you're spending on leads and what your real ROI is, and then possibly double down on this. And for some of you, maybe even open another location. So if that's of interest to you and you'd like to have us do a review of your website specifically for SEO, give you the keyword list to show you where you rank and where you know, and the keyword list is valuable because you can use that list, whether you do business with us or not, to say, hey, I'm going to go create these pages because these are the ones that we don't have. And we know that people are actually searching for these services in those areas. And we'd be willing to do this completely free of charge. If you'd like to schedule that, you can call us at 855-674-1008, or just go to funeralmarketingpros.com/strategy. And that'll take you to a page. It'll ask you a few questions. You'll be able to pick a time on our calendar that works for you. No pressure, right? We're just going to give you the keyword list. We'll show you where there's room for improvement. If you're interested in hearing how we can work together, how we can implement these strategies, how we can help you implement the accelerated growth model, we'll definitely use the time to show you how we can help, what it would cost, and how we can take it from there. But either way, we appreciate your time. We appreciate the opportunity to share this knowledge. And our mission is to triple the services that 1,000 funeral homes are doing by getting their internet marketing right. And I really hope that this has been part of what will take you to your funeral home to the next level. And so that's all. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments. Please, use this time. Go over to funeralmarketingpros.com/strategy. Pick a time that works for you. We look forward to connecting with you personally and taking a deeper dive into your current SEO and online marketing strategy. If you're watching this video after the live webinar and you have any questions, please feel free to drop it in the comments. If you are enjoying this type of information for internet marketing for funeral homes, make sure that you like and follow our YouTube channel. Thanks so much. And we wish you guys continued growth.